Hello, 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 everybody. We are on a brand new platform today. So the first thing I need to know is, does video work? Does audio work? Am I able to monitor the chat properly? I'm sitting here looking at the chat. I know there were a lot of messages put in before the stream just started, but I need to know, can you hear me? Is everything working good? All right, Tor says, yep. Looks like comments are coming in. Can't post comments to some destinations. That's okay. We are also today doing the first multi-stream. So this should be on Facebook. This should be on YouTube. And this should be on Twitter as well, or X. All right. So yeah, this is we're using StreamYard, which I'm excited about. I'm excited about it offers some benefits here. It offers some benefits over Ecamm Live. You know what? I need this. There we go. I need to be able to hear myself a little bit. Okay. Okay. Wow, I have like less things to manage because StreamYard is doing more things for me. So I'm like, normally I'm like touching things and having to mess with stuff, but I don't have to do that today. So that's fantastic. Pedro says, looking fresh today. Thank you, Pedro. I think I can also elevate comments onto, yeah, look at that. Oh man, that's nice. That's nice. Okay. Fantastic. So let's talk about what we're doing here. Once a month, I talked about this in the last ACSS live. So I was doing an automatic CSS live stream every single month to answer questions, show people things, how-to, tutorials, all that good stuff, right? And then we decided, you know what, we actually need like an advanced ACSS session. We need a beginner ACSS session, but then we've got this thing called Frames, and we got to give all of the Frames users some love as well. So that's what we're doing today. We're doing a Frames specific live stream. Okay. This is not a AMA. This is not a ask me anything. Okay. Like, we're not doing business questions. We're not doing that. You can come to WDD live if you want to do that. This is Frames specific questions, Frames specific questions. I also, for those of you who care about screen resolution, I also got a brand new app. So the default not WordPress, the default Apple screen resolutions, at least for my monitor, it was like the resolution I work at and this awful resolution that's way too zoomed in. So I got this app, and it allows me to do like these in-between resolutions. And I think I found a really good one. It's like a mix of the one I work with and then the bad one. It's like, it's one I can tolerate, let's say, but it brings you a little bit closer to the action when I'm sharing my screen. So hopefully that helps out as well. All right, so we've got Jason in the house, we've got Ted, we've got Justin. The only thing I don't know is where I can see how many people. Okay, there it is. There it is up there. Okay, good. All right, yeah, we got pretty good viewership today. All right, so comment, your viewable screen portion is smaller with a border. Hopefully when you show your screen, it goes full screen. Oh, see, that's the magic. That's the magic, my friend. I've got a bunch of different views that I can switch from. See, this one has no border, but see, I think, branding is important, right? You don't need me to fill the whole screen, but I like having our little automatic CSS backdrop back there. I think that's kind of nice, right? So, but when I share my screen, we can do something like this. I can even pop over here a little bit. Then I can go back and forth. We can do a little dance. All right. Shout out to my Nan, who's just bought her first Frames license. Well, yes, congratulations to her. Okay. What is the name of the application for the resolution adjustment? We'll just get all these little questions out of the way first. What is the name? Easy Res. Easy Res. Okay, good. Let's go back here for a minute. Okay, are you using a Stream Desk to switch views? I don't recall using it. No, I'm using StreamYard. It's 100% cloud-based, which I really like. It's not a software application or anything like that. Okay, so what you're going to do is you are going to put the word question in all caps. The first thing we're going to do is just take a look at some new frames that have come out recently, because I think that'll be a little bit fun. But then we will go ahead and just start taking question after question after question after question. Again, all related to frames. If it's an ACSS question, I'll take it if we don't have any current frames questions to answer for whatever reason. But guys, this is your opportunity. This is your opportunity to get your frames questions answered. So I know people like in my YouTube comments all the time, they're asking questions about frames. In the ACSS community, constant frames questions. This is like, you know, if you're struggling with a frame, like you've added a frame recently and you're like, I can't figure out how to do X, Y, Z with it. Okay, this is your chance. This is your chance. We go through it together. And or you have philosophical questions about frames. It doesn't really, if it's about frames, it can be about frames components. If it's about frames, you can ask it. Does that have a reminder to share the screen? No, but because it's not a software application, I can actually keep it open in this tab right here and see what's going on. See, the problem with the software applications is I minimize them. And then I'm doing stuff on both screens. And then guess what? I forget, right? That I'm not actually, but this will just sit here and I can actually see what's on the screen, what's on the stream right here. And I can see that I'm not sharing. So this is good. Okay. Remember, question in all caps is going to help me find it. I also, it looks like I can star comments, which puts them in a starred area. So I can almost like queue questions, which is really way better than what was going on the other thing. Okay. Structured alpha. Okay. I'm just going to star a bunch of these that are coming in so that we have them all lined up. Okay. Question. What is the name of the, okay. That's not frames related. Okay. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Will Robinson says screen has gone black. Just got his name in the bottom left. I don't know. Has it gone black for anybody else? I see the stream. So, and it looks like it's working. Ruben says double audio. I don't know. Everybody else says like, sounds great. Looks great. And then one person's like, I don't know. Okay. Ruben now says it's working good. Fix now, up. All right. Okay, I'm going to star that question. Super duper important. Do you still have the soundboard? Yes, I still have the Rodecaster Pro 2. When will frames for token? Okay, I'll star that. Okay, we've got enough to get started. First, what I'm going to do is I am going to, let's just take a look at some different frames that are new. Let's just see what's new in the library. And if you guys don't know, anytime you go to remote templates, I mean, obviously you can go to getframes.io, you can go to changelog, and you can see what's been going on recently. But you can also just open the library and click the little refresh button right here. Always a good thing to do anytime you open the library. And then any new frames will be right here for you. Okay, so we've got this new pricing section Charlie frame, which is pretty sweet. And what you're going to start seeing as well is now that these components are getting out of beta and things like that, they're going to start being incorporated into these different frames. So if you see this as $10 a month, $20 a month, I hit that little toggle. Now it's showing the yearly prices. Okay. So these kind of things will start to show up within frames, tabs and, sliders, all that good stuff. We've already put the accordions. I think we've swapped those out in a few frames. We'll be switching out the sliders in a few frames. So that's all good. Okay. So that's one. What else? What else is new? We've got this new button component, this toggle button alpha. I'm actually going to add a section here and then I'll add it to this section. So we're going to go remote templates and we'll do toggle button alpha. So a lot of people have asked for a way to, toggle, like we have the toggle element, right? But a lot of people like a button style for this. And so what I created was an animated button element, which is super cool. And so you click it and it turns from open to close. This is not a navigation button. This is a button for firing modals and off canvas elements and things like that. And it's fully accessible. And in fact, you have to remember there's an ARIA toggle code button right here. And so you're going to want to toggle that on whenever you add this element to the page. And then if you look here, if you just check out our button area, look, it says ARIA expanded equals false. And then when I click on it, ARIA expanded now becomes true. So that is all fine and dandy. If you don't want to use the trigger element because you want an animated button, you now have this as an option for you, and it's just sitting up there for you in the library. We will also be adding, let's go back to our library here, talk about this a little bit. So if you're familiar with atomic design, which I really need to do like an atomic design video, right? There's atoms, and then there's molecules, and then there's templates and pages and all of that, right? So atoms are like the very small pieces that might be associated with one component over here, but might very well be associated with another component over here and over here and over here. So for example, like a blog post or a author page or whatever, all might need a little avatar thing, right? Like here's an avatar group. So I add that, well, it helps if you actually import the images. So let's go here. Dude, I really wish this toggle was on by default. I'm going to find a way to make this toggle be on by default, this import images thing. So I'm going to insert avatar group right here, and we'll pull this up into the container. And so this is like its own separate little, I mean, you could use this so many places, right? And if you use something like this on a website, you would always want this to pretty much be styled the exact same way across the entire website, regardless of how many times it is used. So it in itself is like a little component thing. It's like a little atom frame. And we're going to be adding a lot of these little atom frames to the library because they're just super helpful. It's like, yeah, you could make that in about 10 minutes probably, but why? Why? If it's already made for you, why spend the 10 minutes making it? And then, of course, some people don't know how to make it. So, it might take them an hour. So it saves them an hour of time to drop that in. Same thing with like an avatar Bravo. See, there it is again, right? Bricks. Import the images, please. Okay, let's go to avatar Bravo. So again, super simple, but very, very handy when you need it. It's like, why would I want to build that from scratch when I just already have it and I can just add it to a page? So that kind of stuff, like these atomized frames, we'll call them, I think are very helpful to have in the library. What do you guys think? Do you guys think those atomized frames are helpful? Let's go in and see what else is going on. I really love this one. I use this on the new SVG site. It's fucking comical, isn't it? Why do I have to click that toggle every single time? Isn't that just such a workflow killer? Okay, so let's drop this bad boy in there. And it's query loop compatible. See, I use it with a query loop and it's freaking phenomenal. And then I actually set it to show random images every time. So it randomizes the images for every single visitor. It's a really good way to separate content. You guys are always looking for like dividers and things like that, right? This is way better, in my estimation, to use as like a divider between content sections than like a stupid little swoosh cutout nonsense thing that everybody uses. Use real media. Use these like these images is really fantastic. Okay. So let's drop that. What else we got going on? Come in. Oh, yeah. How about slider section Foxtrot? This is another little divider section element that is really cool. And anytime you get a message like this, it means the component that's being used there is not turned on. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to come back here into automatic CSS, and you're going to want to make sure that you actually have the component turned on that is in the frame you want to use. And in that case, it is the slider component. And then we will go back and we will refresh. And I'll just show you, it's a little ticker kind of thing. So let me refresh here. So you can put, like I used it on, I can't remember which page it's on a staging site, the SBG site, but I put all their like classes in there, like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, yada, yada, yada. And it just kind of tickers them across, which is, when you're adding it to a page with a lot of other media and all this, it's just a really good little kind of divider that captures people's attention. And once again, it's better than like a standard old static divider kind of situation. So that one's good. I really like that. Let's go back into templates. What else is fun that we've added recently? We did this logo section, Charlie. Another way to show brand stuff. One change that we've made, by the way, that's very important to note. We are not using, we started out, I think, using font awesome icons in the very beginning. At some point, we were mixing and matching icon sets, which was terrible. I made the decision recently, and we're going back through and trying to replace everything. We're getting rid of all icon sets. We're using remix icons as SVGs. So, because a lot of people, especially if you are optimizing your website for speed, want to not load all of these CDN icon packs. You turn them off, right? And that really does help with performance. And so the problem with that is if all of the frames use like Font Awesome and you turn off Font Awesome, you lose all your icons. So we're just using static SVGs for all icons now. And so you can turn off all icon packs, maximum performance, and you don't lose your icons. And everything will be nice and standard across frames that way as well. Okay, so let's get rid of that one. What else we got that's fun? And then I'll dive into questions. I'm letting the questions pile up a little bit. I love content section hotel here. Of course, we got the modal menu from the new automatic CSS website is in there for you if you want it. Really, really like content section hotel. This is another one where I typically get rid of that call to action that's in the middle. No, I don't move it. I get rid of it. Can we delete it? Like I asked. Okay, thank you. So this one is really good. It's got these angled images. And once again, I use these in a query loop. So I query the media into this section, and again, I typically randomize it. And this is just a really solid frame when you get really good imagery in there and you put it next to your talking points and all this other stuff. What's FR accent heading doing hanging out here? Should have an order -1 on it. Okay. All right. That's kind of all the new stuff that we've been adding. And in terms of the library, we've got the component side of things going on too. Okay, so let's go. Let's answer this question because it's nice and quick. Is automatic CSS required? Is it included? Automatic CSS is required for frames. All frames are built with automatic CSS. So you have to have automatic CSS. And no, it's not included. So you have automatic CSS, then you buy frames as an add-on layer to your workflow. Okay. Let's see here. I was going to ask about icons as I started using List Alpha, and that still uses Font Awesome icons. Yes, we are slowly going back through, and there's a lot of frames. The library is getting quite large now. So, and I like this comment by Muhammad that says 125 views and only 21 likes. Make the math. Yes, thank you. Throw up those likes. Get some likes on this stream. Can we get the old ACSS cheat sheet back? No, you can't get the old one back, but there will be a new one coming. And the new one will be better than the old one. But it's just, there's a lot of refactoring taking place. Okay. Let me go back up through here. And then I've got some other questions logged. Okay, I'm going to check this one, put that in the queue. Okay, you can have the import images toggle by default by using advanced themer. Yeah, I know. I don't like needing a third-party plugin for something Brick should do on its own. How does Logo Grid Charlie differ from Logo Alpha? I'm going to mark that question. Can we have a small CSS file that adds Bricks-related CSS when frames outside of Bricks, e.g. in a custom-coded block? Explain this one more. I'm not sure. Can you give me a use case, reason for this? Frames outside of Bricks in a I don't think that's okay. I don't think that's plausible because it's not a common use case, and it just seems like it would be a ton of extra work. And then think about when we have to update a frame, we have to remember to go back and update this external CSS code block style sheet thing going on. I don't know. It sounds very hectic, very chaotic. All right. So what does it mean for some frames that have a red background? This is a quick one. What does it mean for some frames that have a red background? I just need more. I've never seen a frame with a red background. So I just need more clarification. Do you have an example? Can you give me an example frame? I will load it up right here and we will look at it together. Okay, I'm going to get that one in. Any sneak peek on new frames? Okay, Content Grid Alpha. Let's mark that one. Why do contact forms have inline padding? Looks weird. I will mark that one. Okay. All right. Let me go to all the starred ones. Using slider alpha and happy files. After the last slide in the slider alpha, there's an empty slide. Is there some suggestion or tweak to resolve this problem? Okay, so let's go ahead. Slider alpha and happy files. Slider alpha. Okay, here's slider alpha. All right, let's get rid of that. Let's get it back now. Slider alpha, import images. Okay, so how would you be using this with happy files, by the way? Did you remove these cards and replace them with images? And then you're looping the images? So now I'm going to need more clarification because slider alpha is not a happy filesy kind of thing. I also need to know, yeah, this is the frame slider now. Okay. We used to have a slider alpha that was made with the brick slider. I want to make sure that this was switched out. So yeah, Kristaps, I need more clarification on, let me go back to the live comments here and see if you're able to structure slider alpha testimonial card golf. Yes, that's there. Okay. Heading plus image, query loop at testimonial card golf, post type media, mime type image folder. But I don't understand because testimonial card golf is a testimonial card. It's not an image. So why would you query type this as images or media or anything? I mean, if you're using testimonial card golf, you need to be pulling testimonials from a custom post type. And then the avatar related to that testimonial comes from either the featured image or a custom field. Happy files should not be needed in this situation. So I'm just struggling to understand why the use of happy files in this situation, because it doesn't seem to make sense. To get normal slider where are all images. So you're just wanting people's faces. You don't want any content. You're just, is that what it's for? Is this for testimonials? I mean, there's nothing really like, you just want images. You just want a slider of images. Let me mark this. Because if you just want a slider of images, you don't really need a frame, right? You just add the slider component and then go ahead and toss your images in. And the image needs to be in a wrapper so you can query loop them. I need, so if you guys can give a lot of context to your questions, if you feel like, if it's not a very straightforward question, it's like, I need to know everything you're trying to do. I need to know exactly what you're trying to accomplish so I can tell you the best approach to do it. The persistent question on the screen covers too much of the screen. It's not going away. Well, right now, I mean, I guess it's covering my face, but I can hide it. All right, I'll come back to this one. This is not super straightforward. I'm not, and I don't feel like you need a frame. If you just want a slider of images, just go up here, go slider, frame slider, add it, and then you can go start putting in your images and start looping through, and you should be good to go. Okay, let's go back to here. Let's unstar that one. I always struggle with the hero sections of frames being too large, pushing other content below the fold. Any tip on how to manage this, especially for conversion rate optimization? So this is one of those questions, again, where it would be like hero delta is pushing my content below the fold or something like that. But we can just add a random hero frame. So if I go up here and I go to hero, and we can look at something like hero Oscar or hero Mike. I'm looking at kind of taller, not a lot. I mean, hero Golf maybe takes up a lot of space. But if we look at something like hero Oscar, Just add this to a page. So as we can see now on this resolution, as I said in the beginning, is I'm on a larger resolution monitor now. So everything looks bigger and everything takes up more space. But I just added this hero, and we're seeing effectively what you're saying is that if I added more content below, so now let's add a content frame. All right, so we can do some content like content section hotel now. All right, and so we go view the page on the front end. So now we have this hero, and then we have this content right here. And you're saying, well, that hero takes up pretty much the entire screen, and they have to scroll down to see this content. Again, it's like, well, do you want large media in your hero, or do you want a very small hero? I mean, you can get a very narrow hero. Now, what I'm going to tell you in a minute, you may not like the answer to, but let me go to hero. And we could do something like, hero India, right? If I throw hero India in here and I come up here, and I can even come in and I can go to the content wrapper for hero India. And let's see, heading. Okay. This, let's go minimum height. Let's get rid of this. See how narrow this hero is now? If I want like a very narrow hero, I'm able to achieve that if that's the look I want. This puts the media in the background, whereas the other hero that I had put actual 3 media elements like front and center, which made the hero taller. But what I will say is there's no such thing as above the fold in 2023, unless, you're putting like super important stuff. Okay, so for example, let's go back to the hero that we just had. So I'm going to go hero, and I'm going to grab Oscar again. Okay, let's bring in Oscar. Okay, and we're here, and we refresh. So here's Oscar. Like I can see the media. I can see the headline. I can see the accent heading. I can see the lead paragraph. I can see all the important things above the fold. Like we do a no scroll test when we do WDD live, where it's like, if I don't scroll around, can I see exactly what's going on in this website? Can I understand? Can I see the most important thing, which is the H1 headline? If you put really good copy right here and really good media right here, what else does this hero need to do? And you have a logo, you have your branding up top, and they can obviously clearly see what this website is about. The fact that they have to scroll to get to everything else, that's just life on the internet. There's no such thing as like, oh, you got to pack everything above the fold now, right? That was like, when was that? 2008? Was that the 2008 life where it was like the internet is still kind of new and people don't know how to scroll? That's not life anymore on the internet. Like everybody knows to scroll a web page. You don't have to stuff everything above the fold anymore. That's kind of my answer there. But if you do still want to live that life, then just choose heroes that don't have, what else are you going to do? What else? What other approach are you going to take? You have to take a very minimalist, like you have to just pack everything into the hero section. But that's just not, you don't have to do that anymore, I guess would be my answer. Okay, let's take that away. Question, what's the best way to migrate the default frames class names into a BIM structure that would more match the site's naming structure? So I'll go ahead and hide this now. One, I would say if you care about workflow and efficiency and things like that, you don't rename the frames. I don't rename the frames. I don't rename them, and I don't create new classes for them and copy the styles over from the default frames classes to new classes. I don't do any of that. I use the frames as they are. There is a rare situation where there's a frame like this frame right here. It probably wouldn't even be a frame like that. I don't know. I mean, this is such a unique frame, this one right here. You probably only use this style once throughout a website. Like you may use the frame multiple times, but you're not going to like style it differently. Not in a BEM way. You might do it at the ID level. Like, yeah, it might have a different background color in certain places, or it might have a background pattern in it in certain places or something like that. But that's all really done with a utility class. You don't even need to worry about the BEM classes. The stuff you would do with BEM, the custom classes for this, you would do it and it would be done. And then you would use that throughout the website. in the rare cases, it's really with like feature cards would be an example. Okay. So this has happened to me where feature, let's do something like this. Okay. So we'll put feature section Lima in here. So we've got these feature cards, and I might like this style for general features, but then I also might like this style for services. And now I'm using the same card in like 2 different contexts. And to me, that means they need their own set of classes. And so what I would do in that case is I would create new classes, and I would name these like service card or something. And then I would copy the styles over, which you can just copy and paste styles fairly easily in here. So copy styles and then go paste styles, right? So I create the new BIM classes. And of course, we've got auto BIM coming, which is going to make this way, way, way faster and way easier. If you haven't seen a sneak peek of auto BIM, it's in the ACSS community. Go ahead and check that out. But then I would have a service card with my custom classes, and I would probably still have feature card Lima that I used to use for feature cards. But now I have 2 instances that I can control separately from each other. But again, it's a rare case. It's a rare case that happens. But that's a possibility when it happens. Just every time you add a frame saying, ooh, I need to make my own classes for this and then copy all the styles over it. Oh my gosh, you're killing your workflow. And what is the real benefit there? There's not a lot of benefit there. And renaming the classes even, just it's more time consuming, and it's like, I mean, okay, I guess, but you got to be careful, because if we do any custom CSS stuff down here, we try to use the root selector as much as possible, which will, if you edit the class name, then that won't cause any breakage. But there are cases where we have to reference the static class name, and then you risk breaking the frame if you don't remember to go in here and change all those references, which I just put in a feature request for Bricks that would solve that. But it's still a thing as of right now. Let me go to the live comments and see. Okay, true story. I had to tell a lady last week to scroll down. Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be bevs in the world, right? Bev constantly doesn't know how to scroll on a website. That's fine, right? My mom is she has no idea how to use websites. But it's not a fixable situation. The solution isn't let's pack everything into the hero so they don't have to scroll and make everybody else's life miserable. Because too many things going on in the hero is also a problem for UX. I mean, it's everything. Yeah, embrace the scroll. Here we go. This is the life you need to live right here. Fuck the fold, embrace the scroll. That's what we all need to get on board with that. What was the icon library you mentioned earlier in the stream that you are now using? It's called Remix Icons. They're free and really solid icon pack. Okay. Let me mark some of these. Okay, mark. All right, let's go back up. We got a lot of questions. Okay, let's get through these. When will frames tokens for Figma be available again? I do not know. It's like everybody's favorite question. I literally have no idea. We're building out the rest of the frames library. We've got some updates to the actual tokens functionality that we're going to be adding in. It's one of those situations where it's like it's ready when it's ready. I just do not know right now. Okay. Would love if the CSS portion of imported frames would be automatically added in some external style sheet or even all the CSS so you don't have to touch bricks. That would be a disaster in my opinion, right? That would be a workflow disaster. And it also causes a lot of problems with specificity. It causes we can't use the root selector at that point. We can't, oh my gosh, so many limitations. No. Sounds like a good idea. It would be an absolute disaster. Trust me. The way that we're doing it is the most efficient way possible. If there was a more efficient way possible, I would have found it. Okay. It's the way we're doing it is the most efficient possible way. Okay. Let's go. How does logo grid Charlie differ to logo alpha? Well, let's find out. By the way, what version of Bricks is this? Because I'm noticing something, and I wanted to ask you guys about this. If it's the version I think it is. If it's not, then I don't know what's going on. No, this is 1.84. Okay. I've been switching back between 1.85 4 and 1.9. All right, let's go in here. So he says logo grid Charlie and logo alpha. Logo grid Charlie, logo alpha. Logo grid Charlie. Okay. And logo alpha. Go to remote templates. Logo, it's one of these. Oh, logos alpha. Okay. So let's pop that in. Ah, okay. So you can't see the difference, my man? Let's go wrap this in something. Wrap this in a section maybe, so we can put some space in there. Okay, maybe we can wrap this in a section as well. Okay, and then let's let it, I don't know what's going on with the, it seems like it's my internet. Maybe the stream is like hogging my, save, refresh. There we go. Okay, so I don't, there should be a clear difference for me. Let's go here, BG base ultralight or something. You also see these boxed. So what is the difference? And we can inspect these as well. So these have a logo wrapper, which makes them loopable. These are also going to have a logo wrapper, but here's the difference right here. You have a text label in there for the name of the brand, right? Where this is just a straight up image. This is just that's all that is. And then this has default padding and white background color, which you can change to anything else. But that's the difference, right? This one has a actual text label and this one does not. This one's really good for if you take brands that are iconic, okay? They have icons for the most part, and you just want to drop the icons in. See, this is like the icon plus the brand all in the same logo, which not every brand has, by the way. And a lot of more modern brands just have icons that you can drop in here. And then you can you're free to write the name of the brand right below the icon. That's the difference in the frames. Okay, hopefully that answers that question. Is there a planned date for the new WooCommerce pages like account, etc.? Tobias is working on those, but I do not have a date for them. When I import contact grid alpha, there's a script that shows up. Am I doing something wrong or is that a feature? Okay. Contact. There's no contact grid alpha. So what are you referencing? Contact card alpha? Contact section alpha? Can you give me some clarification on that? The stream seems to have less quality than usual and sometimes lags that never happened before. Okay, well, we'll keep an eye on that. It may be because I'm multi-streaming too. I may try it next time with just streaming to one destination. Can I get clarification on this contact alpha? Which frame are you actually using? I don't know why Brix's search. Obviously, this is contact. Contact card alpha is literally right there. But if I type contact alpha, it struggles to find it. Question, when I import contact grid alpha, the cards and the map. Okay, the cards and the map. I assume you're talking about this, contact card alpha map. Okay, and I don't see any code. I don't see any code blocks. I don't see any code. Is this the one you're talking about? Yeah, everybody says everything is fine with quality. I mean, it very well could be. I mean, everybody's on, it could absolutely be your internet, No, there's no code block with this one. But if there is a code block, then you're going to want to activate it. Basically, always activate whatever code block comes in with a frame, activate it. Like it's there for a reason. So, yeah, but here's the thing. You have to understand that Brix deactivates code blocks by default. So anytime you import a frame with a code block, the code block is going to be deactivated. It's a security thing. So you have to go in and physically activate it when you add the frame. Okay, world map alpha. Okay. World map. Why isn't it finding it? Brick search. Brick search is failing us now. Contact. Is it this one? This uses the world map alpha. This is probably this. I guess this would be what you're talking about. So yeah, this is an example of a code block being imported with the frame, but Bricks turning this off by default for security purposes. So literally you just grab it, turn it on, it's going to disappear, and then everything is going to start working. And there's my map. I just don't have any cards queried up. So I got to query some cards, but now everything is working. Okay. Let's go ahead and delete that. So yeah, the answer is you activate the code block that comes with the card. Pedro says the red background is when the frame is smaller than the available space, I guess. I don't know what that means. I don't know why a frame would be smaller than the available space. I've never encountered this issue. I mean, give me an example. How would I even recreate that issue? I'm not sure. Okay. Would a table frame ever be considered? Tables are insanely complicated. There's many ways to execute them in terms of responsiveness, and everybody is in a different camp when it comes to how a table should respond to different device sizes. For example, a lot of people want to be able to scroll in a table. A lot of people want the table to stack, but when the table stacks, the header row is no longer seen with all of the other data because it's not grouped together. You have to use a lot of special techniques to then put the table header data with each item data. They're very complicated. They're very technical. There's a lot of ARIA stuff that has to be added for accessibility purposes. And therefore, you can't make a table frame that checks the boxes for everybody. We could make multiple table frames, but it's a tremendous amount of work. And then it's limited use cases, you know? And so what I've kind of decided is, hey, there's a bunch of really great table plugins. And if you need a table, like you literally need a table for something, you should probably just use a table plugin. It's going to have all these features baked in, and you can create whatever table you want with whatever behavior you want. It's much, there's a lot of tables require JavaScript to do things that people want them to do. It's not just pure HTML and CSS that can get the job done. So it feels like it's a situation where a plugin should handle that, or we can make a table component at some point. But here's the thing: look at this. It's kind of this situation right here. Forms. Okay, so I come up here and I type in form. What are my options in Bricks? I have this form element that Bricks has given us, and then I have something like WS form. Well, when I add WS form, I know that it's going to be able to do every single possible thing that I could almost ever want it to do. When I add the Bricks form, I know it's going to do very, very basic things with tremendous limitations. And thus, I just don't ever use this thing. Like, why would I use a super scaled down limitations everywhere thing when I can just use a real thing, a real solution like WS form? I would use WS form always at all times. Okay, there's no reason not to. No reason to use that. The Bricks, and it's almost a situation. Let's explain this so everybody understands. Like, let's all try to get on the same page. Every minute that the Bricks team spends on that form element is a wasted minute of development, in my estimation. Bricks is not a form tool. And forms are insanely complicated. Ask Mark Westgard, okay? I talk to him all the time. Forms are insanely complicated. Every minute the Bricks team spends on a form element is a wasted minute that we're not getting really good page builder features. We're not getting components, which we really need, because the Frames team is spending time on a forms element that doesn't do anything for anybody who owns WS form. right? We've got to understand the situations where this is not in the scope and should not be in the vision of a developer, and this should be. Okay. And so this is one of those examples, the table thing. Every minute I spend trying to come up with a table frame that suits everybody, or even a table component, we're not spending on way more important things. There's already table solutions. Add one, get the job done, move on with your life, right? Every minute that we spend on it, in my estimation, is a wasted minute that we could be spending on really important things. So that's kind of how I view that. And I think that's how people should view that when they ask for things from the Bricks development team and the Oxygen development team, and on and on and on. Yeah, exactly. Right. It's like we already have the solution. Plug it and play it and move on with your life. That's why we're using WordPress. It's so we can say, hey, my page builder, and there isn't, guys, there is not a page builder that has a good form solution in it. They are, compared to something like WS Form, all of them are tremendously limited. Okay, so we can't be asking Bricks, hey, do what no other page builder has done. And then if they even manage to do it, who wins? Who has won? We already had the working version called WS Form. So why do we need Bricks to do it? Bricks should not be spending time on this. There are things that certain tools should not spend time trying to accomplish. It is a complete and utter waste of time. So tables is one of them, and forms is another one of them. Okay. Yeah, WP data tables is really solid. Okay, let's get back to our starred questions here. I feel like some of them have gone away. I don't know. Is there like a timer on these? Do I have to get to them in a certain time? When I import contact grid alpha, okay, that one has been answered. Why do contact forms have inline padding? Looks weird. Again, I need an example. Are you just talking about a WS form? Are you talking about a Bricks form? Are you talking about, what are we talking about here? I need a specific example. Why do we now have to match our breakpoints in ACSS? Is this a new thing? Again, that's a really hard question to answer. I'm not sure what you mean. You've always had to match your breakpoints. If you tell Bricks, these are my breakpoints, and ACSS thinks that you have different breakpoint values, you're going to be on two different pages, right? A website has breakpoints that are defined, and everybody needs to be on the same page with regard to those breakpoints. So to me, it's always been a thing. It's always been part of the setup process for ACSS that you set your breakpoints to match the builder that you're using. There's a discrepancy there's a 1 pixel discrepancy in certain cases, but I wrote a whole write-up on this in the community. That's related to Oxygen. Originally, we were built for Oxygen, and Oxygen completely mismanages the breakpoint situations. They subtract the pixel for no reason. Go read the write-up. Go read the write-up. That whole shenanigans thing came from Oxygen, and we're going to fix it. We're going to ignore the fact that Oxygen does it wrong, and we're going to do it right. That's coming in a future version. So just keep an eye out for that. But you've always had to more or less match your breakpoints in ACSS to the page builder that you're using. Okay, I can get rid of that one. How do you decide which frame to use? What's your process? I decide what frame to use based on the story that I'm trying to tell on any given page and how I want to tell that story. So I have a narrative that I want to get across for any given page, whether that's a service page or an about page or a contact page. I know what media I have access to. I'm looking for creative ways to display that media. I'm trying to create kind of like a variety in the page layouts across a website so that not every page looks exactly like the same layout and uses the same elements and things like that. So there's a lot of various reasons why I might choose one frame over another. But it comes down to those things, right? Every page, the goal of every page is to serve unique content, important content. I mean, you're making a page for it, so hopefully it's important content. So you're serving important content to the visitor. And what is the best possible way to do that? Our task, right? If you said, Bev, write content for the about page. Well, Bev is typically going to send you paragraphs of text, right? She's going to go, and it's not really Bev's fault. This is how we were taught in school. You were taught in school to write term papers. So everything is like a college paper, right? So you tell a client, hey, write us your about content, and they're going to give you a term paper back. Well, we can't just take that term paper and paste it into a website. It's like, okay, great. There's no design, no layout. No, we're not going to do anything with this. So what we have to do is find creative ways to break up that content and add media to it. And then how are we going to lay all this out and make it logical and tell the story in a way that's now scannable, but also interesting to the visitor. It has to be interesting. It has to be engaging. And so Frames allows you to go into the library and just look at the library, right? I open the library. I can take this off the screen now. Okay. I do wish there was a timer. There was a timer on the old one where it would take it away off the screen for me. But I come into the library and, we start with, it's a section by section approach. So I'm typically starting with my hero section, right? So I can go down here and I can say, just show me all my hero options. I can just go and say, how do I want to tell this story, right? How do I want to open this story? Hero Oscar is interesting. If I have 3 really strong pieces of media, for example, like a gym, right? Like a jujitsu gym or something. And I had 3 really strong images of people doing jujitsu in the gym. And I felt like that was going to be a really good way to open the narrative on the jujitsu page. That's why I would choose Hero Oscar. If, on the other hand, I had a really solid video, I could come down, I could do something like Hero Golf, where I can replace this image with a video, and it's going to make that video like front and center when people load the page. That's why I might choose that one instead. If I have a situation like here's Hero Charlie, where it's like content on the left, big image on the right that expands to the side of the screen, maybe I'm creating a template for services, and I want all the heroes on these service pages to have the same exact format, where I can have the service name very clear over here, some CTAs, and then off to the side is an image that pairs with that service. I might choose Hero Charlie. And so I'm just figuring out, like, how do I want to tell the narrative of this page? And then I just keep going section by section by section. Hopefully that answers that question. All right, let's see. Do you have a recommended frame for a gallery of images? So we can go in here. It depends on kind of the look you're going for. I think there's only one gallery section in here right now. So if I add gallery section alpha, which I've used, a lot in the past. Let me go actually import the images this time. There's gallery alpha, which you can put on its own, right? Or there's a gallery section alpha. If I don't want it to be in an actual section, I just want it to be like itself. I forgot to hit import again. I hope someone for the Bricks team watches this and just realizes how annoying it is that is not toggled by default. I mean, I use this stuff all the time and I constantly forget, and then it doesn't even import it when I ask it to. These should be, hold on, let's go into here. I want to look at this frame real quick. Is that using real, maybe it's because if those are actually real images, I mean, it still should import them to gallery alpha. I think I had to use real images here. Let's open this version of it. I did. And it's because if you use the placeholders, it looks like a giant gray block of trash. It's like, because there's no spacing between the images. So I just felt like we had to use real images in that. That's like the only one that uses real images. Bricks should still be importing them though. I don't know why it's not. That's kind of the only one right now. But you also have the gallery. We don't have a lot of galleries because you have a gallery, image gallery element, right? So you can just easily pop this in and do a lot of stuff with it. And it's almost like a frames version of that almost becomes redundant in a way. So we haven't really prioritized it that much. All right, let's get rid of that one. That one. Is there a way to quickly imprint a frames class onto the ID level to avoid editing a class that affects other frames? This should not be necessary. I kind of need like a context of what you're trying to accomplish. Let's just do a simple hero as an example, because a hero is something that you would use repeatedly across multiple pages, right? So let's do like Hero Charlie. Let's bring in Hero Charlie. Okay. And see how the header happens to blend with Hero Charlie's background right here. So Hero Charlie has a background color set on its class level, which means anytime I insert Hero Charlie, it's going to have this background color. Now, that does not mean that I cannot override that background color. The easiest way is just to turn off the class. So now I'm styling the ID level, and I can set whatever background color I want on this hero section. Okay. That's number one. And that means I can do that on a page by page basis if I want to. Now you have to start thinking like, do I really want to do that? Is that a good idea? The other thing that you can do is you can use a modifier class, right? So you can say FR Hero Charlie, and you could say something like dark. And so now I've created a modifier class. And with modifier classes, you're only defining the thing that needs to change. So now I come into background color, and I can even use my contextual palette here. And let's say we wanted like the dark version, right? So we go action ultra dark. And so we put that in. And now we're faced with the challenge of what about these items right here? And this is a limitation of page builders that I've talked about endlessly, that you actually can't do modifier BIM methodology in page builders very easily, in any page builder, really. You can, if you're writing custom CSS, it's very easy, but it's not so easy in a page builder. So we end up with a situation where we really need to target the heading now from this dark class. And this is actually the feature request that I just put in, okay? Would actually solve this challenge right here. So let's go to Bricks feature requests. And you need to go vote this up, okay? Make the root selector in the CSS input interpolatable, okay? So here's what that looks like. Let me show you the problem that we're running into. So I'm going to go on Hero Charlie Dark. I'm going to go to the custom CSS tab, and I need to target this heading right here, which is FR Hero Charlie __ heading. It's, first of all, I knew that was __ heading, but I have to look up here at FR Hero Charlie and then come in. See, what I would like to do here is be able to do something like this. Let me zoom in. We put like a % like this, our root, and then we can do _ heading. And now what it's gonna write is FR Hero Charlie Dark. And I would actually need a space. Or actually be like this, root, and then root, something like that. And then I can define my styles here. But what I really need to do is just go in. I think this works. I actually have to check how Bricks outputs this. So if it's going to go, no, it would be like this. You would do this first, and then FR Hero Charlie Dark. And the fact that I have to rewrite FR Hero Charlie every time, that's the really annoying part. Sorry, this is a heading. Make sure this works. Color white. See that? Now I have to do the same thing with the text. Okay. And it's probably called lead. Yeah, something like that. But now we are in a situation where we're causing a potential breakage. If I come up here at any point in time and rename these classes, this will now completely break. Versus if I was able to do something like this. Now this is an unbreakable situation because this root right here will continue to reference whatever the value of these is. So if the values of these ever change, like the actual name ever changes, this is going to reference the new name, and we're not going to end up with a breakable situation. Okay. Right now, this is a breakable situation. So this is how you would create a dark modifier class. You have to do the same thing with your button. I mean, modifiers is you know, CSS you know, it takes a lot of work. There's really no way around it. If you're going to make a dark variation of something that was currently light, I mean, you're going to have to kind of restyle everything that's in there. You could drop the alternate CTA if you wanted. I mean, that would solve the problem if we were only using one CTA. Now we have no problem because my action color looks good, whether that's a dark background or a light background. So I can go remove the modifier, and now it looks just fine. Now I can add the modifier back, Charlie Dark, bang, and now I have the dark version. And so you can use these modifier classes wherever you want to create multiple versions of a frame. You should never have to copy styles to override things at the ID level, but I would never, well, first of all, you can't, yeah, you would never want to copy styles to the ID level because now you're just overriding what the class is doing. That's just never a good solution. So I would either go with one-off ID level overrides, okay? And like how I removed the dark class, but the thing is still dark. I love that feature for bricks. I love that for us. You know, that's just a great thing for us and our workflow. All right, sorry, I'm being passive aggressive again. Let's go back here. So I would do the one-off just override at the ID level in some cases. BG base will not work because this custom CSS was added later. So you can't really use utility classes in a lot of these situations where BIM is already being used. But you can absolutely override at the ID level, or you can add the modifiers in. Those are your two best options. All right, second on this question, is there an easy and fast way to delete CSS classes not being used? No, I mean, basically, like if I wanted to delete all Hero Charlie classes, my best bet is to search Hero Charlie and then go bang, 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 bang. Should it be easier? Should it be faster? Yeah, absolutely. Is Bricks releasing a class manager? Well, they said they are for about a year now or more. Hopefully they get around to it soon. You know, they probably get to it faster if they weren't having to do things with a form element. Back to my earlier rant. Okay. But yeah, I mean, there's no better way right now. Is there an easy and fast way to delete? Okay, we just did that. You guys asked the same question. Both of you asked the same question. Okay, let's go down. Let's see. Okay. Oh, I got to get that comment off the screen. Your forms point. Bricks form element is a responsible, simple form solution that took 0 dev time to create and should be available for times WS Fluent or Gravity Forms have not yet been bought. I'm not sure I understand. What do you mean that it's a that it took 0 dev time to create? I don't know what that means. In the old days, we just targeted the child elements over the parent class. Makes using modifier classes easier, but it's not BIM. I would need to see an example. Thanks for your reviewing the frames gallery. I forgot that Bricks actually has some features that are beneficial. I keep trying to use frames for everything. Yeah. If they didn't have that gallery element, then we would definitely have more gallery frames. But because they have that element, it does a lot for you. When you need to write CSS to change something on a section or component, where is your methodology for the location of that CSS at the section level with root child or at the block? I think I know what you mean. Let me find a frame that might serve. Okay, here's an example. The new one, pricing section Charlie. Okay, so if I need to change this block right here, where the f did it just go? What did Bricks just do? Bricks just like absolutely nuked itself. What is going on with this side? Why can't I touch the... Okay, let's refresh the builder. Bricks, what are you doing? Maybe I need to update to 1.9. Templates, remote templates. It's also... Oh, I'm zoomed in. That never helps either. Let's zoom out and let's try this again. Okay, look at that. What is happening there? Does anybody know what's happening here? All right, let's just do something else then. I was literally just using that frame like 5 minutes ago and it was working perfectly fine. Let's do another one that would be a good example of what you're referring to. Feature section uniform. Are these going to disappear when I touch them? Okay, no, but they don't have their, they don't have, dude, I'm actually, I might boycott bricks. If they don't add this as a feature to do this, I'm gonna boycott them. Let's go to feature section uniform now. Okay, there's my images. So if I needed to do something to the custom CSS of feature card uniform, as an example, absolutely I would do it right here. I would not do it at feature section uniform up here. Okay. You want to do it closest to the thing that you're changing. I'm a big fan. See, a lot of people are still not on, we're not on the same page, right? See, if it were me, I mean, but it's, you know, I'm to the point now where it's like, here's what would fix this. Let me just give you a tip on how page builders could actually fix this. I would go do it as a feature request if I really thought that, you know, anybody listened to what I have to say, but you know, not a lot of people do. If you change something like, let me go to what has been edited in an action. Here we go. See these yellow dots? That lets you know, hey, something's been done in here, right? Like that side padding right there. This gutter has a calc in it, okay? There should be a third tab right here. So there's this content tab, which, you know, whatever. It gives you like, I don't know, main stuff you might want to do. Then there's the style tab where there's all the style things. There should be a third tab, which should pretty much be the default tab if you're coming back to an element. And that third tab would only show you the inputs that have changed values, okay? So, and you wouldn't have to open the accordions. To, like, there would be this padding block sitting right there inside of the, it's like an applied styles tab. So you can literally go to the applied styles and it shows you only inputs that have been changed, right? It doesn't show you all the other stuff. Like gradient overlay not being used, so it's just in my way right now. Shape dividers not being used, just in my way right now. And it's forcing me to go into these, and then I got to into this, right? Okay, so if I had an applied styles tab, which extracted these inputs and put them front and center to show me things that have been changed, and I could then go edit them very easily, that to me would be a major workflow enhancement. Because right now, and I actually, guys, I wrote an article about this. Okay. I do all of my work in page builders and I love page builders. Okay. They do a lot of really great things for us. But, you know, I came in here and I wrote a whole article that says WordPress page builders suck for styling websites, because the biggest downside is that they spread everything out. Now, in a frame like this, and this isn't even a good example, but let's see, because this just uses a locally scoped variable. I mean, to me, if everything is written right here in CSS, everything is in one place, I can control all of the children from this one place. That would be the ideal scenario. But also the problem there is it doesn't support Sass. And that's a big downside. And what have I've been saying for over a year that page builders would be like, it would take a page builder, like not to the next level. I mean, we're talking like multiple levels up. You would, if we're comparing page builders against their competitors, Bricks, Oxygen. A lot of people say Bricks, Oxygen, neck and neck, okay? The first one that gets Sass working in an input box like this on an element wins. Like that's just a tremendous improvement. Nobody will listen to me. I don't know if they're working on it. They don't tell me anything. They don't tell me anything. But I've been saying it for a very long time. They don't seem very interested in it, you know? They don't seem very interested in a lot of the things that I say. Which would be dramatic workflow enhancements. I don't know why, but it is what it is. But, you know, it's these kind of things because we obviously have a problem. I don't think anybody likes, I mean, raise your hand. Does anybody like the fact that styles are just spread all over these accordions and you got to go hunt them down and figure, where is the style coming from? That's the game that we all have to play. Does anybody like playing that game? Did anybody sign up for that game? Where you're like, yes, I would love to spend the majority of my time clicking into accordions, figuring out where styles are coming from. No, nobody wants to play that game. So give us the ability to put all styles in one place, either here in this CSS box or in an applied styles tab. One or the other, but let's figure that out because it's the worst part of page building workflow. And I don't know why nobody seems interested in solving the problem. Man, I mean, if I was a page builder developer, it'd be like my number one thing I would be trying to solve. But again, that's just me. I use the magnifier on top to find the settings sometimes. This thing up here. Yeah, I mean, but that doesn't tell you what styles have been changed, or it just helps you find an input faster. But it doesn't help you find where somebody applied styles. Hate it. That's why WP Codebox or style sheets are the way to go. But the problem with WP Codebox is it creates a magic area. So now I have to go to my magic area where I do my style. This is the same problem with a child theme. Child theme CSS has the same problem. Same problem with the customizer. The WordPress customizer is built in. Wait for you to go to the front end and go, hey, we're going to go customize this website. Well, the problem here is, well, there's a lot of problems here. It has no CSS helper features. It has no Sass. It has no nothing. It's like the dumbest CSS box that's ever been added to anything. And I have to go to the front end to use it. Another magic area. The page builder is where I'm doing my work. If you ask me to leave the page builder, and I have criticized my own product for this, automatic CSS is a magic area. You have to go back here and you have to do this, and then you have to do things. Okay. This is why 3.0 is getting rid of this dashboard. 3.0, we can't have this anymore. I am staunchly against magic areas. I do not want a magic area where I have elected to do my work in a page builder. All of my work should be able to get done in a page builder. Shit, I want to make pages from here. I want to make new posts from here. I want to do everything. I want to make custom fields from here. I want to do everything from here. That's a like cohesive experience. And I understand we're working in WordPress and, there's a lot of stuff going on here, but that's my dream. That's my dream. Because you shouldn't have to leave every time you have to leave the page builder to do something. I mean, we see this, right? Here we are with these cards. Let's say I'm going to use these for services. Oh, I haven't made my services CPT yet. Okay, well, I guess I'll take a little visit back to the magic area of the WordPress admin, and then I'll find this thing called ACF, and we'll go in here and we'll create and now suddenly I'm no longer building pages anymore. I'm off into custom field land. And does that have to be the case? I mean, what if I was sitting right here and I was just like, bam, 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 custom post type was created in one of these panels right here, custom fields in one of these panels right here. Like if ACF had some integration, I don't know. It's a big challenge to solve. I'm just saying, every time you have to leave the workflow of building a page, it's a nightmare. It's not a good experience. It sucks. And if we didn't have to do it, I'm telling you, it's one of those things where the minute you were able to do all the things you wanted to do in the page, you would ask yourself, how did we live this other way? That would be the thought that comes to your mind. How did we possibly even live that existence where constantly you had to go back to some other area to do things? It is an efficiency murderer, okay? It murders efficiency. I just don't like it. Rant alert. Yes. Okay. Yes. The dashboard is going bye-bye. I have a better approach, better idea. Okay. With CSS gaining natural nesting variables and functions, do you think Sass is on its way out? No. Well, I haven't seen really any functions. I mean, what functions does, and what variables, CSS does not have variables the way Sass has variables. Custom properties are severely limited in comparison to Sass variables. And the nesting is a little bit different as well and a little bit more limited. And I think a lot of it, I'm not sure. I think a lot of it comes down to processing power, honestly, right? Where Sass is pre-processed. And vanilla CSS has to be processed on the fly. So I think you're always going to have limitations over a pre-processed solution. How would one use a query loop with that alternating grid frame? Oh, this one right here. You delete the cards you don't need. You just have your first card right here. What's this thing up here? Let's get rid of that. Okay. Does this install have anything? Hey, hold on, guys. Hold on. Let me go back to the magic area and find out if we have any custom post types to use. And we don't. Okay. So we're going to have to go into this little magic area here. And we'll just say services, right? Services. Services. Okay. Save. Great. Add new. Okay. Jiu-jitsu. Back. Add. Muay Thai. Let's do one more. Let's do boxing. I don't know. Publish. All right. We got 3 services. Refresh a builder. Let's go in, feature grid, uniform, query loop, query, and services. Okay. And then let's do this heading. Post title. Okay. There they are. 3. Boom. Whoops. That needs to be the front end. And let's see if the alternation. Did that not save the page? There we go. All right, so let's check on our alternation here. So feature grid uniform. Oh, I put the query loop on the wrong thing. Always helps if you put the query loop on the correct thing. Let's go services. Okay, save, refresh. There you go. Done. Donezo. So it's super easy. Super easy. Because the auto alternation is already done for you. It's already baked into the frame. But a lot of people do make the mistake that I just made where I clicked the wrong thing in the structure panel. I hit the grid on accident when I meant to click on the uniform, the card, because you want to loop the thing that needs to, like, we don't want the grid to appear multiple times, right? We want the card to appear multiple times. So the card is the thing that you need to loop. The auto alternation instruction is already baked into the grid itself. So it doesn't matter if this is query looped or statically done. It's all going to alternate on its own. And almost every auto alternating frame does that. So you don't have to worry about the auto alternation. It's just automatic. All right. Any other questions? Let's see. When you have one modal being triggered by different buttons on one page, what's the best practice? Put the modal in the footer and use the same trigger class. It depends. I mean, what is in the modal, right? Does the modal need to be triggered on any page of the website, or is it only for certain pages? If it's only for certain pages, I would probably create a template for those pages that had the modal in it, because you don't want to load the modal on every page of the website when it's not going to be needed on every page of the website. That's like thought number 1 that comes to my brain. But yeah, you do use the same trigger class on all of the buttons. But yeah, I guess I would need to know more about what kind of modal is it, what's in it. Like people using modal for navigation, you got to put that in the header, and that's got to be on every page. And you put that in the header template. And then you could trigger it from, I mean, multiple triggers if you wanted to. But if it's like a pop-up, opt-in kind of situation, that you want to be able to trigger from buttons and you want it to be available on any page, then I would go put that in my main template. Okay, let's go up. Please show how to style a frame entirely in WP code box without touching the brick settings or the CSS box. Should we keep the code that comes with frames in brick CSS box or move it to WP code box? Yeah, I mean, I could do that. This is why I don't recommend it. I mean, we can all watch why I don't recommend this. So if I go to, let's find a frame that's not too crazy, like this. Okay, testimonial section Lima. All right. So I'm not allowed to touch any of the controls, right? So we have testimonial grid Lima. So the first thing I need to do is look at these class names. Then I'm going to come back here. I'm going to open my magic area. Okay, but I will do this. I mean, I know some people like this as their workflow. Okay, so I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say, let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that, get rid of that. I just don't want to be we've got too many tabs going on. Okay. All right. So I'm looking at FR testimonial card Lima. So with SAS, right? FR let me zoom in a little bit. Testimonial card Lima. Then I open, right? And you're going to put any root styles in here, but then you're also going to be able to target child elements. And the question is there a child element? There's one child element, and it's called call out. So the way that you would do this in SAS, let's get rid of this one. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. Okay, where's my code box? All right, let's go back here. It's going to toggle back and forth like this. Okay. See, there's already like I've had to restructure my tabs. Like just man, it's just not great, especially if you don't have two screens. If you have two screens, a little bit easier, but still annoying. So we go like this, double underscore, and then I've already forgot the name of it. So it's call out. All right, call out. So now my styles for call out can go in here. Right? So testimonial card Lima, background color, I say red, right? Call out is going to be color or white. Let's just see what that does. Save. And okay, so background color, okay, red. Let's see here. Why are we not getting the red? So now we have a question of where is CodeBox loading the styles versus, okay, there it is working on the front end. Let's refresh the builder. And not working in the builder. So I don't think I have any caching on this site. Caching shouldn't matter in this regard anyway, because I'm seeing it on the front end. So now we're into a situation where it's like, all right, what's Bricks doing in the builder here with our custom CSS styles? And we can do something like this and just see if that picks it up. It does. So that lets me know there's a order of styles issue, which is once again, it's why this potential solution has potential problems. What is it now? Can we change the order? See, I don't even know what version of CodeBox this is. Can we change where we're loading our global styling? Condition builder. This is a partial, so I got to go over here. See, I mean, we're already in this is why I don't recommend this. Right? We're just causing issues. Where to insert the snippet, or does this still only control the order of the snippet in WP CodeBox, or does it actually do the front end? I don't even know. Probably not going to fix anything. Yeah. So it's why I don't recommend this. But look, this is how easy this would have been, right? So if I wasn't doing this here, so now we're back. I just do this in a builder. Oh, I want the background color of all of my testimonial cards to be red. Okay. So I go in here, red. There they are. And now what I want to do is, I tend to avoid going here. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter. You can go here and choose white. And then they're all going to be white. And then all is well in the world. And in doing that, I haven't left my workflow. See, I never had to leave my workflow to accomplish it. That's the most efficient way to do this. You don't want to leave your workflow if you don't have to. The times I go to WP CodeBox are times where I'm not physically capable of doing what I need to do in the CSS box in Bricks. Like I'm doing something that requires a mix-in. I'm doing something that requires a function or a weird calculation of a variable or something like that. That's when I have to retreat. I'm retreating to WP CodeBox to do that work because I can't do it in Bricks. I don't recommend trying to do everything. I think I recommended it at one point in time because I was like, I want all my CSS to be in one place. Then I did it for a while and I was like, F this. It's definitely not efficient and it causes too many problems. Yeah, you have to choose after builders and WP CodeBox too. Okay, front end header after builders. Is that the one? All right, let's see. So save, back to global, style. Okay, so let's go here. Let's just try it as an experiment. I like to experiment, learn new things. Get rid of the background color. It was also probably Was there a background color already set? Let's just leave it unset. Wow, see now it's not a scientific test, is it? Yeah, I believe there was one already set. That's why. We probably should have just cleared that out. So if I go to shade ultralight, that's probably what it was right there by default. Okay, let's just see this now though. So that is testimonial card Lima. Testimonial card Lima. Just keep it nice and simple. Okay. I mean, if I clear this, it's going to work. It should work anyway. But the theory that you just told me about loading after builders did not seem to help in that regard. But see the extra step of like, ooh, I got to clear the styles that were already on the class and then go to WP Code Box and do what I want to do. Now we're just creating like now we're doubling the workload. And there's things you might miss. I mean, yeah. Well, no, I mean, WP Code Box is extremely important. I just don't recommend you put everything in there. You put the stuff you have to put in there because Bricks doesn't have SAS. Now, what I've said, okay, so I contacted a Video, right? Is that his name? A Video? And I was like, hey, I got an idea for you. What you really need to do is you really need to make that WP Code Box style sheet available in the builder. Then I'll use it all day, all night for everything, I think, right? But it's not in the builder. It's still not in the builder. I think he's working on it, but it is what it is. So I'll just tell you point blank. The most efficient way to write CSS is to come up here in testimonial card Lima. Now let's see how we would do this. Okay. So let's get rid of this. So that's not messing with us anymore. Okay, here we are. So now I say root and background color is red. Okay. Background color, doesn't work all that well. Background color works better. And then I would put my call out right here. And this is where I really want to be able to do this. See, if I could do this, this would be so efficient, right? Then I could style this color white. Clearly that doesn't work. So what I have to do is like a chump statically, I got to go like this. Okay. And then is call out have 1L, 2Ls? I don't even, oh yeah, 2Ls for sure. Okay. Typography 600. Well, now see, we are live. So, things that always work don't work. Testimonial card. Oh, it does help when you have the name of the card. See, and that's another reason why, like, if I could just do the root reference that I just talked about a minute ago, it would avoid all typo situations. It would avoid all you forgot part of the word. That is what I want right there. But instead, we have to do this. That's a lot of typing, by the way, right? And any other child elements, I got to come down here and then do this, and I got to do it again. I want that referenceable root selector that is interpolated. Okay, but look, this is it doesn't get more efficient than this. So when I decide I want to open this and style it, hey, I want to edit the styling for that. Okay, guess what? I click on the card, I drop down here, everything is right here. The parent styles, the child styles, everything is right here. Now, if you can't write CSS, that's a big problem. Right? You can't do this. But if you know how to write CSS, this is the most efficient, most organized, most logical way to put this CSS. Not to mention, by the way, guys, if I put that here, okay, like this is going to load on every page of the website. This right here is going to load only where these cards load. So also more efficient from an output standpoint. I just think this is the most efficient all around. And if this ever comes to fruition, if they don't ignore this feature request, like a lot of the others, once again, this will be one of those features where people will be like, how did we live without that beforehand, right? People will see, they always see the light once they're able to do it. When you propose something, you're like, I don't know about that. But once they start doing it, then they see the light, right? That's what's going to happen. Okay. What else we got for questions? Questions. Where is, okay, our time? We got about 15 minutes. How do you keep all code in one place if we don't put everything in a code editor like WP Codebox? So that's the thing. This is unique, okay? This has never been done before in CSS, right? The dynamic root reference selector thing, I mean, this is one of the best features of bricks, okay? And the power that it gives us, the flexibility that it gives us, the everything that it gives us. You no longer want styles in a style sheet. Why? Because when I'm looking for a style, where would you rather go? Would you, and remember, you're looking for a style in the context of page building. I'm building a page, and let's say I use this component on another page. Okay, I style it, and then a week later, I need to use it again on another page. And so I bring it in, and then I start to decide, now that I'm looking at it again, I kind of want to make some adjustments to it. Where would you rather go? Would you rather click the actual element and then go, oh, there's all the styles for it? Or would you rather go, hold on, let me pause for a moment. Let me go back and find a global style sheet somewhere. And then, by the way, style sheets don't look like this. They're really long. So then you're like going searching, where are they? Maybe you're doing search like Command F, where is it? Well, I already found it in 2 seconds attached to the very thing that I wanted to edit. That is the most efficient way to organize your CSS. So if you're writing custom CSS and it's all right here, and this begs the question, should you still be doing stuff up here? And for me, the answer is no. No, I will just write all of my CSS right here. And then that CSS lives with the thing that I'm interacting with. I don't even need a style sheet. I don't care about a style sheet, don't want a style sheet. I want my styles attached to the thing that I'm staring at in the builder, right? That is like the most efficient way to do this. But the problem is that's what I would do with frames. But the problem is people don't know how to write CSS. So we have to put a bunch of styles like this in here so that they can see, oh, padding, okay. And then they just fill in the fields, or they right click and just choose what they want, right? That's easiest for everybody. But for me, man, I would just come in here, especially the only reason I don't do it now is because it's actually more efficient. If I want to make this text white, it's actually more efficient for me to click on it and then click here and do it than it is for me to write out the entire root class name down here, because that's annoying. But if I could do this right here, if I could do this, now I would write custom CSS down here all day for everything, because this is way more efficient. In fact, there should be a little shortcut that writes it like that. Yeah, I mean, it's like, I'll just reiterate again. I never want to have to leave my page builder workflow to go to some magic area and do stuff over it. And then what I'm doing is bouncing back and forth, constantly bouncing back and forth, bouncing back and forth, bouncing back and forth. It's really annoying. And then not only are you bouncing back and forth, you're bouncing, then scrolling, bouncing, then scrolling, bouncing, because you're looking for different things as you edit a page. And it's just an efficiency nightmare. You've never been able to do this with, actually, this is why Tailwind, this was the argument that Tailwind made. Hey, if my CSS lives with my HTML, that sounds a lot better. Now that's, absolutely atrocious in a page builder, but in VS Code, if your CSS lives with your HTML, it's actually a big benefit. It is a big benefit, other than the fact that it litters your HTML. This is actually the best of both worlds. My CSS lives with my HTML, but didn't make my HTML dirty, right? My HTML stays clean, but my CSS still somehow lives with it. This is the best of both worlds. Oh, we should all be doing this now. I'm a huge proponent of this, but they have to improve it. We need this feature right here. This feature is missing. Okay. You have to select add new. This way you can have both front and back end. What is add new? I need can your styles and WP code boxes set to only load on the front end. Oh, okay. Styling, external. Where do you set that? Yeah, I don't know. I don't ever do this because I don't ever need to. So I don't really know. I mean, I did header after page builders. Where's that saying that's only on the front end? I don't think, I think that loads in the builder. I mean, why would it be after page builders if it doesn't come after the page builder? Because this, even front end header, that loads in the page builder. Styles will with this default setting, styles will absolutely load in the page builder. I do this all the time. This should be the same. It should just load the CSS after the page builder CSS. What would be the ACSS frames approach when Bricks has the components developed? The components feature. So an example would be, this is a good question. Let's get a different example. Let's go back to let's do the feature cards. Let's do Sierra, maybe. Okay. Got to zoom out. So we would probably program this card as a component. We would automatically make these things component properties, okay, like content properties. And that would allow you to manage this component from one single source of truth. So as it stands, I mean, everything would look and work exactly the same because you can still use dynamic data. You can still query loop a component. It would just have that additional functionality. It would be like a little bit extra juice involved in this frame right here. But this would be the component. And what that would allow you to do, see, the problem here is if I'm not query looping these things, here's a code block I need to turn on. If I'm not query looping these things, then you run into this problem where if I want the call to action, or let's just say I need to add something. That's probably the easiest thing. Let's say I need to add a little text element here. Great. I added it to this card. Did it add it to this card? No. Did it add it to this card? No. So now what I'm faced with is, okay, I got to copy it. I got to come down here and paste it, and I got to paste it. But now it's like, but what I'm using these cards on like 5 different pages. Well, now what do I have to do? I got to go page to page to page and copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. And it's annoying. Now, if this is in a query loop, adding it to the source card will add it to all of the other cards. The query loop kind of helps you in that regard, but the query loop only applies, again, to that one page. It doesn't apply to the other 5 pages where this card was used, so that still doesn't help me. A component would actually help me. And in frames, when you load this in, this card would be componentized by default. And you would automatically have that power at your fingertips and not have to worry about it. Yeah, it's just that would be the only difference. Everything would look and feel and function exactly the same, but you would have the added benefit of this being having component functionality already embedded in it. I'm not denying it, but my OCD kicks in every time I try to go back to it and give me headaches, so I default to coding in VSC. Go back to what? I'm not sure. If you add form light to a form, it adds inline padding. Okay. Form light to a form, it adds inline padding. What kind of form? A bricks form, a WS form, or what kind of form? All right, here. Okay. Let's go. I bet. Let's see here. WS. Probably just with that form. Let's see. That's actually new. That is a new issue. It did not used to do that. Let's see what's going on here. It's right there on this field set. Right there. Andrea would probably know. And I don't think, unless there's a new input somewhere. Field set styling. There, that's actually, it's right there. Yeah, no more gutter. So, yeah, I'll need to see if that's on by default, but you can absolutely turn it off right there. There's probably some, it's challenging because WS form uses a different grid system than, you know, like the bricks form versus fluent forms. And like the more we integrate with all these things, they all kind of do things differently. And forms are already very complicated to start with. So there's little things that it's like, why is that there? And it's like, oh, because fluent forms, you know, decided to do X, Y, Z. Or, you know, some nonsense explanation like that. But what we try to do is give you a control over it so you can override it depending on what you happen to be doing, right? So that looks like that's what's been going on here. Okay. Yeah, I'm glad we got that answered for you. Okay, let's see. Enjoying this Frames Live episode? Good. I am glad. I feel like we did a lot of questions that were like semi-related to Frames. It's interesting to see how everyone prefers to work a certain way. Yes, it is. It's very interesting. I can't see the interpolation thing coming to bricks, really. It's a very niche use case where you can just write the class name. If you change the class name, you expect to change CSS too. The thing is no. See, once again, it's one of those features where the minute people start using it, they will feel they'll just not they won't be able to contemplate how they did it the other way before. Especially when you start editing class names and things start breaking and you realize, oh, well, with the new interpolation feature, that doesn't happen. So that's fantastic. And what I would say is it's probably it seems like a very easy feature to add. All they have to do, literally all they have to do, okay, let's come in. I mean, you know, I might be beving this or something, but it seems to me they already have the general functionality. They already have a root selector. So root effectively just writes whatever here. If I did it on here, so I activate the form like, okay, it's locked. All right, let's unlock it. There we go. All that outputs is this. Right? It just parses. They have code in the back end that parses this into this. All they have to do is make it so this gets parsed the exact same way. Right. And now what that allows me to do is attach something else. Right. So this would say form light. And then I say, you know, child. Right. And then I can style a child element. The only reason this doesn't currently work is because the parser gets confused when there's something attached to the word it's trying to parse. That's it. So if you just, you know, code it to have symbols where it recognizes these symbols and then can parse it, you're good to go. Like if I had to guess, I don't know. I don't want to make some lofty thing, but I, you know, could they do it in a day? Could they do it in an hour? Could they do it in 30 minutes? The payoff relative to what I think it would cost them in terms of development time, there's a tremendous gap there. Like, you know, It seems like a tremendous benefit. And I think a lot more people would use it than you might realize. I know, for example, every Frames user would love it. Every Frames user would love it. And we could do so much more with Frames in terms of scalability and maintainability. So yeah, it's just one of those things. I would love to see what your current code snippets are that you add to your blueprint site. I don't really. What do I add? What do I add? I have a local. The thing is, I have a local blueprint and an agency blueprint, and they're very different. Because the local blueprint is a very scaled down blueprint. But if you go in here, it would really look like, let's look at our cloud snippets. That would mainly answer the question. And that one is not even needed anymore. So I load this brick single elements column code a lot. I really like having my elements in a single column. So I add that one. Disable unused elements. I get rid of all of these elements. Every one of these elements in Bricks Builder goes bye-bye on my installs. I don't use the divider. I recommend you never use these things. Never use a divider, never use the icon box, never use the social icons, never use the list, never use the form, never use the alert, the animated typing, the countdown, the counter, the pricing tables, the progress bar, the pie chart, the testimonials. Never, ever use any of these things. And so I just turn them off. I just remove them. Make WP codebox full width. I mean, it's a lot of little stuff. Custom excerpt length. These are, you can ignore those. Those are testing stuff. Persistent UTM is actually, we use this on sites running Google Ads a lot. I would have to do a training on persistent UTM codes. Here's my global style sheet. So basically I just have this with all the import statements already ready to go. And then I'm ready to put in my local partials here because I make a bunch of local partial files. Like, local mix-ins, local functions, local yada, yada, yadas. My custom source set image sizes, which everybody already knows I have. Copy paste functionality. This was what we did for like the cheat sheet, copying and pasting stuff on click. And that's it. Yeah, it's not a lot of exciting stuff, I don't think. So hopefully that answers that question. Okay, let's see. Let's take 2 more questions. Any chance seeing mega menus in Frames? Yes, but not until we have our own menu builder component. I've been quite vocal that I do not like the Bricks menu builder. And so the idea, and I've tried, we've already basically I don't know, is Tobias here? How many hours, Tobias, have you put in yourself on mega menus with the Bricks menu builder? And then I'll just throw in 40, 50 hours of my own on top of that. Experimenting, playing around, figuring out how are we going to make this easy on the user? How are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? How are we going to make this work in different situations? Take that 50 hours of mine, maybe 50 hours of Tobias's, so put them in a box and just light that fucking box on fire. That's where we're at. And basically came to the conclusion of we have to build our own menu builder, which we wanted to do anyway. But we were waiting around to see, hey, maybe this Bricks menu builder is just going to knock it out of the park. It's going to be an amazing experience. It's just we're going to be able to do everything we want to do with it. And no, that's not the case. So we're not going to light more hours on fire until we have our own menu builder. And then we will release a bunch of menu frames. And but so it's just going to be a little bit of a wait. But it's being worked on right now. It is in development. It is in development. No, don't ask me for times. I don't have release dates. I don't have any other details or any other information. Maybe BIM is not a thing for the general Bricks target user. I mean, yeah, this goes back to the question of how are we building websites? How are we building and styling websites? And what is the best, most efficient workflow? Well, when I audit websites, And by the way, I get websites. I mean, I guess all agencies do, right? But I get them a lot more where people watch my videos and then they say, hey, I had this developer working on our site. It's a disaster. Can you come in and save the day? That kind of situation, right? And so I end up like auditing the back end of a lot of websites. And so I see common problems over and 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 over again. And this is where a lot of the content, like, first of all, I've made a lot of the errors myself and then realized, oh, that creates a pretty shitty situation. I should stop doing that in the future. I should find a better way. But then I also audit a lot of websites and I can just witness firsthand the nightmare scenarios and the absolute disasters that people are creating. And one of those is custom classes that have no organization whatsoever. There's just custom names for everything floating everywhere, and you have no idea what's related to what and what goes with what and where things are. And so we look at what's the solution for this? How can we bring some semblance of organization to class names? Well, this is not a situation that it was just started to think about in 2023. I think BIM has been around since like 2004. Okay, so this was a problem that was identified in 2004. That was a long time ago, where they were like, I think this is a good approach. And it's survived since 2004. Now there's other things, there's Cube, there's, we can just rattle off a bunch of methodologies. BIM is the easiest. It's the simplest of all of them, okay? And it gets the job done. That's the most important thing. It gets the job done. It organizes CSS classes. But then we have to get into a discussion of, well, people don't use CSS classes. Then it's like, well, why not? What are they doing instead? Oh, they're styling at the ID level. They're copying and pasting styles. Is that an efficient approach? Is that a scalable approach, a maintainable? We have these people still who are in this mode of like, oh, well, you're using a page builder. You don't need classes. And it's like, huh? Come again? What? Because again, I audit the sites. And then I go in and the client says, well, can we just change this thing? And I go, well, how many hours do you want to pay for? Because if I change that here, they styled everything at the ID level. So I'm going to have to go make those changes manually every instance of that thing. And if you want to pay for that, that's fine. But, if this was built right, I would be able to change it with the phrase. I actually just did Page Builder Summit. Okay, I just did my talk for Page Builder Summit, whole presentation. 3 principles for building sites that are more scalable, more maintainable, and more professional. And we talk about, of course, classes. We talk about tokenized styling. And we talk about a lot of the stuff that was covered in Page Building 101, but it's boiled down into 3 things that are really easy for people to remember and execute on. And I go through it piece by piece, okay? And it just, people are not doing that. So when I audit websites, people are just like 99% of developers out there using page builders are not doing any of these things. And they're creating disasters. That's what it amounts to. They're creating disasters. And it's a disaster for the client. It's a disaster for other developers who come along later. And so I hear the arguments. But then I scratch my head and I keep auditing sites. And I'm like, but this is an objective problem. Does nobody else see the problem? Am I the only one that sees the problem? I can't be the only one that sees the problem. With styling, for example, styling everything at the ID level. So I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Like, we say, well, BIM is not for the target user. What is the workflow for the target user? What should people using page builders be doing? What should the process look like? See, I have hundreds of hours of videos that outlines a specific process. And a lot of those hours are spent explaining why we do it this way and not that way. Why we do it this way and not that way. Then other people come along and they're like, well, you can do it any way you want. What? Do you have a reason? Like, do you have an example? Do you have like what else goes with that statement? What else goes with that statement? Or be like, oh, you don't have to use classes in a page builder. Or are you going to add anything to that statement? Or any other value to come with that statement? You're just saying words. We're just saying words. Aren't we supposed to back up the words with something? Like back up the words with an example? Like when I say, you should use BIM. And people go, why? And I go, oh, because if you don't, here's what your class database looks like. And then people go, oh, well, it makes perfect sense. Yeah, I don't want random names for everything. I want everything organized. There's your reason. We have a reason for the process. Everybody that keeps coming along going, yeah, it's a page builder. You don't need to use classes. A class-based workflow is not needed. They never give a reason for what they're saying. They just talk. It's just words. And so I just continue to ask, like, can we get some more clarification? Can we get some more details? Can we get an example? Because every example I've seen of somebody not using classes is a fucking disaster. So can I get an example where it's not a disaster? So you can prove to me that this is the better workflow? And they just never, then they disappear. Then it's like, where did you go? Where did that person go? They were just talking a minute ago, and now they're gone. So, it's that situation over and over and over and over again. And then David will come in and say, things have become much simpler for me since I started using BIM. Yes, organization is always better than not being organized, right? That's kind of the argument that they're making. They're like, it's better to not be organized. Thanks, I'm out. Like, what? They're talking. It doesn't make any sense to somebody who knows what they're doing and that's seen the disasters in the back end that are happening. The third principle, for example, that I was seeing is actually the first principle, but the one I didn't mention, query loops. Loop all critical content. Loop all critical content. Use custom post types for almost everything. That was the other principle. And so you'll have people who build basically static websites. So for example, they will come in and they'll do this. They'll go to testimonial. Let's say I need some testimonials on my website. Let's do testimonial section Bravo. Okay. And literally I see them do this. Let me zoom. See, this is why I don't like my first. Okay, wait, let me ask the community right here. Is there any way to turn this thing off? Where's that stupid grid? Where did it go? I was just looking at it. That thing, that grid outlines. I know you can click this button right here and that turns it off. But is there any way to shut it off? Get it out of my life? I don't ever want it on again. Is there any way? Does anybody know? Is there a feature in Bricks that I'm missing? Is there a way to turn this little grid visualizer thing off? I absolutely hate it. It's always in my way. I absolutely hate it. Feature. Oh no, I was looking for testimonials. Testimonial. Let's just do this. Grid alpha, and let's wrap that in a section. Okay. So wrap in a section. Good. And then it's not bringing my stars in. I think this site has no, there it is. Okay. This is one of those frames where we need to swap our icons. That's still using font awesome or whatever. Okay. But literally this is what almost everybody does. Almost everybody does. And if you do this, it's I'm not calling you out. I'm just letting you know it's an objective problem. Okay. So they come in and are awesome testimonial number 1. All right. Okay. And awesome testimonial number 2. And they just fill out all static content. Hi, my name is, okay. All right. Title. And they just type in and they're like, oh, we need another testimonial. Okay. So then they go over here and they're like, all right, we'll just duplicate this. We'll just duplicate this a couple of times. And they just keep filling this out. And they don't realize that this needs to be loopable content. This needs to be, your testimonials need to be in a custom post type. You need to have custom fields. Then you need to loop this onto the page. We don't want to manage static content. This creates nightmare scenarios, absolute disasters for scalability and maintainability. But then there are people who'll be like, no, you don't have to loop your content. Static content is just fine. But again, it's just words. It's like, have you ever maintained a website? I get you've built one before, but have you ever had to maintain one? Because this is not the way. This is not the path, okay? This is not what you want to do. When you open a website that you are tasked with maintaining, this is not what you want to see. You don't want to see a bunch of static content everywhere. That's the worst case scenario. You want to see an organized database of information, and then you want to see pages that are dynamically generated based on that database. That's what you want to see. So that's the process I teach. But then people come along and are like, oh, this is over-engineered. And over-engineered for who? Once again, have you ever had to maintain a website? Because if you have, you would know that you want it to be maintainable, right? And this is the way that you make it maintainable. We give reasons for the process. And it's the most frustrating thing for people to come along and just yap about oh, you don't have to do that. 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 And that's all they say. They never give an example of a website where it's like, look at this site where I didn't do any of those things and it's so easy to maintain. They never give that example. I have 0 examples of that. But yet they'll be like, oh, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. I don't understand. It's just, why is your mouth moving? Like, you're not saying anything relevant or important or valuable. That is super frustrating. Let's see. Disable cell border. Disable. What is that a setting somewhere? Yeah, I know. I know I can, hold on. I did the wrong thing. This. Yeah, I know I can hide it with CSS. I feel like, here's the thing. I can hide it with CSS, but I feel like it keeps breaking stuff. Like the overlays, half the time it's like in the wrong position. It's like, I feel like bricks, it requires a lot of processing power or something for like bricks to do this. And I feel like if we turned off the feature, it would actually free up some resources in the builder versus just hiding the feature with CSS. That's why I've wanted to know, can we like disable the feature? I mean, maybe it's just CSS on the back. I honestly don't know how they're doing it, but it would be nice if we could actually disable it, not just override it. Okay. Are my questions being moderated out of this live chat? No, there's no moderator. I mean, unless you're putting links. If you're putting links into anything, then it's, yeah, your comment will not show up. I'll let you ask the last question. Son of Maestro, you get the final question, my friend. So go ahead. We will wait. It cannot contain a link. If it contains a link, it will be auto moderated out. And that has nothing to do with me. Yeah, the Apple keynote is about to start. That's why I'm still, okay. Yeah, it's about to start right now. My push menu. That's not a question. I need a question. What's your question about the push menu? Hurry, hurry, hurry. We got an Apple event to go to. Make it fast. Vertical header Bravo. Okay. Oh, that question. Okay. Yeah, I remember from what you posted in the thing. I still have to look at it. I've been super busy. Here's what I'll promise you. While I'm watching the Apple event right here, I will pull up vertical header Bravo. And yeah, Justin says it started. I will play with the modal thing that you asked about in the community while I'm watching the Apple event. So I'm going to go watch the Apple event right now. I'll play with that. I'll message you in the community. Thanks everybody who joined the stream today. Hopefully you got some stuff out of it. I know we got into some rant territories. Some people like that. Some people don't like that, but it is what it is. There will always be another Frames Live where we can ask more Frames questions. We do it once a month. Every single month we will be here talking about Frames. That's it. I'm out. Peace.